What's up, y'all? We're back here with another episode of Throwing Light. I'm LTJ Reeds, and if you're not throwing light, you are not mother freaking acting right. I almost said motherfuck, but I didn't. Anyways, hello, I've got Kevin here. How are you, Kevin? Mr. San Diego Leather 2025.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. Just about recovered from sleep from the most recent excursion out of town to represent at the amazing Encarado weekend in LA. And yeah, I'm in great spirits. I've been surrounded by leather and love all week, and that's healing for me.
Did you fly or drive?
Oh, drive.
Okay.
Flying to
There's some
LA would
close,
take even
right?
longer once you getting into the airport, getting out of the airport.
Yeah. So what's going on? Like, I'm glad to have you on the show. We met, we got to actually meet in person during IML. So nice to reconnect. Nice to have you here on the show. I follow you, so I'm learning about you and what you are about and what you care about. Why don't you go ahead and tell everybody how you got involved in the community?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, truth be told, I never thought like kink was something that would interest me, but I always really, really liked the aesthetic of leather. Like I was really drawn to different images of people in, leather uniforms, other harnesses, jock straps. I mean, jock straps were something I realized I liked before I even realized I liked men. But like it all for me kicked off in 2021. Towards the start of the year, I finally had saved up enough through a COVID stimulus check of all things to buy my first leather harness. I was super proud of that and just sort of had spent that year getting to know some of the local guys who were sort of leather oriented. Our community down in San Diego had kind of been cast to the winds after COVID. Like it was all in a period of reforming. So I just sort of clung to any connection I could find, even though the guys who were guiding me at that time were sort of more the circuit party side of things. And as a sober, since pretty much the start person, there was things I found I really loved there and things that were kind of a struggle for me to connect with. But through a couple friends, I got talked into going to the Palm Springs Leather Pride event that weekend, which is still to this day one of my favorite events. And basically, one thing led to another, and I was in Christopher Weston's armpit being spanked, and I was like, oh, this is my place. And so
Hey.
people like him, Race Bannon, I took a lot of trips to San Francisco. That's what I really consider my mentorship, my community origin. And I feel blessed to have learned from some of the best and just sort of built up my connections down here in San Diego while I did.
So what led you into wanting to be a title holder?
It's funny because for the longest time, titles were not a side of leather I really followed. Like, I would go to events like IML, Palm Springs Leather, etc. I would have a great time at them, but I wouldn't really pay attention to the contest. Like when Marcus won IML, I had met him a few times at like LA Eagle, that kind of thing, and I was like, oh, that's nice, but didn't really have any sense of weight to it. But sort of over the course of, I think it would have been 2023, as the San Diego Leather title started to gear up to return. That's when I started to get to meet Girl Complex, who I know you've had on the show before.
I
She
love
is amazing.
kids.
And getting to know people like her producing the title, and also to know people like Mischief, who ended up being San Diego Boot Black 2024, I just sort of got an interest in like, I love these people. I would love to represent them. I would love to fight for a community that represents them. I mean, I get it. I'm the token cis white dude, so I'm gonna look different, but I want to be able to use my privilege to represent the sides of the community that really matter to me. So I ended up just with about a week and a half of prep, which was an insane choice, running for the San Diego Leather Contest in 2024. Just I didn't really know the other people involved, and I was like, I want to represent the side of the community that I care about. I ended up coming a very close first runner up with, like I said, very minimal prep outside of a crash course from the aforementioned Mischief and Dorian, one of the previous Mr. Sandiego Leathers.
Mhm.
I loved the experience. I loved being able to speak to my community and to be faced with like the judges and the people who came out for the contest were all guard figures in this town that I had never had access to before. I didn't know how to find that kind of history, that kind of mentorship. So I ended up just following around the person who won that year and Mischief and just the title scene in general. I ended up just studying for a whole year, and then I came back and now I'm the title holder.
Right on, man. That's kind of like my journey. My first, similar. It was my, I didn't know a whole lot at all, like about the community. And after I competed my first time as Mr. Austin, as Mr. Texas, I got to step back and I was like, oh, well, I'll just compete again next year. So I just kind of like relax and let everybody get to know me instead of me coming.
Hmm.
My introduction to the community was like competing in the contest. So I was going
Yeah.
against heavy hitters too in our community that I didn't know, but everyone
Yeah.
I competed with in my first contest had a sash. So what I like to hear though is that you came back, and you
Yeah.
able to study and learn and do all that. So um I want to go back to you said you want to use your privilege. And, that's not something that we really, really have talked directly about on this show before. And I want to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah.
And for your perspective, from your viewpoint, what is privilege and how do you have privilege?
I mean, obviously, privilege ties into themes of intersectionality, which I know you talked about with Daddy Gill, that kind of thing. Privilege is sort of where, as a result of like different statuses, often ones you just sort of luck into or are born into, rather than ones you're assigned to, rather than ones you get to choose for yourself. Like in my case, being white, being apparently conventionally attractive, being coming from an affluent enough background to not be stuck with debt or that kind of thing. I can pass through society and accumulate fewer scars. And also, in some ways, my words carry more without me having to fight as hard for them to, which is something that can be wonderful and also terrifying because it means if someone like me walks into a scene, they're given a platform more easily, even in queer communities. I've noticed this time and time again. People do treat me differently, even in leather, even in the queer community, than they would people of color, disabled people, trans people. So it's really important for me to, if I'm going to be given platforms like this, be able to amplify the people who don't have what I have. That's sort of what I come down to. And I mean, I made a Facebook about this the other week, Facebook post about it the other week, where I was like, there are so many times in this community where someone will raise concerns about a community member not treating other members of the communities I interact with well. And I don't see that because people see me and they'll often show their best face. So it's honestly vital for my survival and for me supporting my community to keep my ears open and be accessible to the full community, not just like people I want to fuck or something. Sorry, am I allowed to swear here?
Yeah, to live on Earth in reality, you can do that.
Hmm.
So what is interesting to me is you having this awareness. Like you do realize everything you just said is like the ideal white person. So it's just kind of
Please don't
like
tell me that. I don't want it to go to my head.
no, but to understand all of that and to even say that that people put their best face on in front of you, that is that makes me feel like maybe I can go a little bit more deeper with my questions because you have that awareness.
I
Um,
love that.
as I mentioned before, as I see you as somebody I follow on social media, you are using your voice. And did you know how you were going to use your voice when you won the competition?
Yes and no. I always like there was never a part of me that wanted to like silence myself on issues I cared about as a title holder. Part of why I ran for this title was, like I said, I could represent people like Girl Complex, who I feel values match with. I feel like I can represent, I can amplify, I can speak to issues we mutually care about. And what you don't see when I'm posting on social media is that oftentimes with some heavier issues, I check in with my producers beforehand. I'm like, I know what I say doesn't inherently represent you guys, but while I'm holding this title, this patch, this sash, it all confers to you guys. Is it okay if I do this? How would you guys feel if I did that? That there's been times where I don't say something despite, thinking it's important just because we check in with each other and say, probably not best to use those words right now. And I'm so grateful to be able to have that feedback network. On the other hand, they've been very encouraging for me. My schedule makes it hard because I work weekends, but they've been totally up there for me going to protest, stuff like that, in my capacity as a leather man and as a representative of this community, which is really powerful. I love that. I'm
What
very grateful.
Well, what's transformative for me to point out here is this relationship you have with your producers. Um, maybe it's a Southern thing, but we have much rockier times.
Mhm.
And we have had conflicts with producers and title holders.
Yeah.
So to
Uh,
hear you also in this very respectful manner be like, hey, I'm representing you, let me. I mean, that's humility, I guess, or humbleness. Like, I mean, that makes a great title holder. And I'm not saying, I just know that, my experience from a lot of title holders that I know they get the title, they do whatever they want, they don't ask. I don't feel like I was the first, so I don't think it was about me asking. It was more like you do what you think you need to do for this title. So it was a more different situation for me. Because I knew I had the support, but you know what I'm saying? I didn't have
yeah.
someone to study. Um,
Yeah.
have you ever, so having this great relationship with your producers, I mean, how often are you communicating with them?
Sometimes I will go weeks without major substantial conversations, and sometimes I will spend a week where I'm checking in with them every day. They are fundamentally not the most hands-on producers ever, but I still think it's important to nurture that relationship, even while they are giving me a lot of freedom to represent them how I feel best to do. Like the actual terms of my contract are very light, but I feel like a lot of the times it's the social expectations and the sense of responsibility that really determines how you conduct yourself as a title holder, not what you're signing away to on a piece of paper.
You know what just hit me and why the energy is so like I'm really feeling the kind of like yin yang right now. You're in California, I'm in Texas. We're like literally the heads of the Civil War right now, right?
Yes. Oh gosh.
So
I am so
my
scared for all
experience
of you
and
right
your
now.
experience are just,
Yeah.
you know, I'm not saying like I mean, we should be concerned with our well being in all regards. Like being in Texas and being brave and putting yourself out there,
Yeah.
it's a life risk every day. I
I
mean,
am in awe. You guys have some incredible activists, both in leather titles and beyond, who are showing up, doing work that me feels fun, makes me feel fundamentally inadequate in comparison. You guys are really fighting some important fights. I have so much respect for that.
there are there are more, and now we're going to do this on tour and try to unify as a state. So being over in California, and just to comment, like, I mean, are you guys, well, obviously, are you feeling more empowered now, with everything that's going on?
Yes and no. Like, there's ways in which we feel insulated by our bubble in California, where it's like, I know I've seen Race Bannon talking about how grateful he is to be in California in terms of like vaccine access and stuff like that, which I was able to get my COVID booster with fairly minimal fuss yesterday, for example. And, seeing stuff like that West Coast Alliance announced with healthcare is a huge relief because I am terrified about my access to healthcare and frankly about issues like food safety and that kind of thing right now. But also, I mean, you have to remember we are a target. When I was in LA last week and I really saw the impacts of particularly the National Guard and ICE enforcement out there. I mean, it's happening in San Diego too, but they've decided to make LA a test case. And while I didn't actually see them out on the streets or anything like that, you could feel the shift in the community. Like street vendors, Latino street vendors who would usually be out there serving food outside the Eagle or something like that. They're not there anymore. You go into a restaurant, they have signs about asking like on-duty police or ICE agents to leave, stuff like that. It's kind of strange that dissonance where so much of life feels normal and in some ways we feel protected, but also we are all living under this in this country right now.
Yeah, my biggest thing is, I wish we weren't treated like political identities and like human
Yeah,
beings. And
yeah,
that's my biggest struggle because I don't want to engage the politics. I just want to engage the humanity of it all.
yeah.
From that viewpoint, I admire I have a wonderful family, leather family here in Texas, all over the state. A lot of them are able to go and do the protests, and
Mhm.
I think that's amazing. And I think that's really freaking brave.
Yeah.
Um, if my job changes, you would see me doing more of that.
Yeah. That's something
But
that's on my mind a lot. It's something I don't think about a lot as again because privilege, but I'm always reminded by people around me, not all of us are safe to go out and protest. Not all of us are safe to put our faces on these things. That
so,
makes it really heroic for the people who can, but it doesn't mean those of us who can't don't matter.
so I just found out that Austin Pride was a couple weekends ago, and I
Mhm.
found out that's one of the safest Pride festivals
Yeah.
raids because of the amount of security they have. Like they have
Yeah.
snipers and everything. So
Yeah.
it's that serious in terms of getting that type of protection. But Austin is supposed to be like the most,
Yeah.
I don't know, like these cities are massive that they all feel pretty diverse. Houston especially.
Yeah.
When you're going to other cities in California, like have you gone up to North California any with your title? Have you, has there been any particular place outside of like LA or San Fran that you just really wanted to go as a leather person?
So I've gotten to do a few places like that. Like I made my first trip to Sacramento as a leather person earlier this year for Northwest Leather, which was that was really an interesting experience because I'm so used to going to more gay men oriented leather events, and that was more of a pansexual event. So seeing both the sort sides of leather I know overlapping with ways of doing leather I'm less familiar with in a city I'm less familiar with was really cool. That was a really interesting experience. And
Yeah.
also, it was really fun watching my boot black father, Mischief, and Renee did this sort of like little game show for boot blacks, which was a highlight of the weekend too. Plus, the Bolt, the leather bar they have out there, is awesome. Huge
Um,
backyard. I love that.
what is the Sacramento community like? I want to go to Sacramento.
Yeah,
It literally is one of my cities I want to go to.
yeah.
Like it's small, right?
I didn't really get a good sense for the scale because, like I said, I was there for an event weekend and spent a lot of the time at the host hotel. So that was not the fullness of the Sacramento community. So I couldn't really judge it from that. But I met some amazing people out there. I met Bear, who's their current Bolt title holder, who I'll get to be joining next May in Chicago. I'm excited about that. He is a big old sweetheart. And I got to meet local boot black out there, Shalimar, who was awesome. Just, I got a sense of some really good people out there.
So, okay. So right now, when you're getting up and you're thinking about where your focus is and where your fight is and how you want to use your title, what's really at the forefront of your brain right now in terms of what we really, in your perspective, need to be focusing on?
I mean, my philosophy is that I don't know how to topple a regime or something like that, and I think it would be kind of egotistic to think I could do that with a patch on a vest. I'd love to think that was possible, but I think that's a bit hubristic. So what I'm really focused on right now is trying to build community, both in terms of like access for people who might not be able to find leather but could really benefit from these connections, and in terms of like helping people from different sides of the community access each other. Because San Diego's leather community, like I've seen in a lot of cities, is incredibly disjointed. We have a lot of little factions and clubs and stuff like that that aren't really in touch with each other, aren't really able to look out for each other. And I'm a big believer that when things get dark, and they very well seem like they will right now, if you have people around you to lean on who have different resources, like maybe you know someone who's a lawyer, maybe you know someone who's got a bed to sleep in, maybe you know someone who's got a good hookup with food when you can't afford anything. Having those kinds of community connections where we can catch each other, that's really one I want to support right now.
Right on. I think that's a big thing that I want to see, like, bringing these factions, because I think what you're bringing up is a national problem. I
Yeah.
can't say for other countries, because the social dynamics are different. But over
Yeah.
here, I feel like you hear that story a bit, like feeling like
Yeah.
they're disjointed, and even within, well, I don't know if I've ever felt like it was cliquish within the leather community. I don't think
Hmm.
so. Like I have a genuine, it's a family to me. It's a big
Yeah.
It really is. I don't. I take my relationships that I have within this community very seriously, and it has become a family, and I'm just kind of coming to that awareness right now, just having this conversation with you.
I
Um,
love that.
it seems like you're like fairly new, right? Getting into this so my birthday as a leather, my coming out day was August. It was like late August of 2022. So I've
Mhm.
just now become three. So
Yeah.
how long did it take you to determine that you wanted to do the title?
Like I said, I mean, it was a very rushed decision last year, which would have been probably around January or February 2024. Yeah, that was when the title side clicked for me. I had very much already thought of myself as leather. I'd been doing leather for a few years. I'd been connecting with people, but it was a case of, oh, I'm already leather in San Diego. I've already had a social media platform at that point, been very connected. And I was like, oh, maybe I should actually translate this into something with official status. Maybe that could mean something.
Yeah, now you're making a name for yourself and you won't even need the status pretty soon. You're going to go to IML, you're going to come back and then build a legacy of Kevin, whatever that is.
I hope so.
Oh,
Something I
yeah.
keep trying to tell people, especially coming into leather, is the titles mean as much as you put into them. Someone having the sash, having a patch, doesn't make them the community leader, doesn't make them important. And there are people in this community who are leaders and who are important who don't have them. But it's a way you can build legitimacy, build connections, and have that kind of, you know, connection and influence and legitimacy, or whatever you want to put it.
So I've got to know, Kevin. When you're on social media, does it ever stress you out? Do you ever feel like you have to go back and look at posts or things you said? I'm just curious.
Yeah,
Do you regret
constantly.
posting
Yeah.
things? Okay, so you have a platform right now and you're using your voice, and I witnessed a situation where you were just raising like a broad general concern that a certain candidate was not fully for everyone in the community, and
Yes.
just using that candidate in the
Yeah.
short term, even though they don't fully align with what we believe. And you were
Yeah.
saying we should still bring attention to that,
Yeah.
this person is not fully aligned with us. And
Yeah.
you were saying I'm not trying to be a negative Nancy, essentially.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that we also need to acknowledge this. So you do know how to walk yourself out.
That one ate
You
up
do
a
know how to
lot of
walk
my
yourself
brain
out
for
of
a few
conflict.
days because it was one where I was referring to a politician who has been doing a good job fighting for a lot of causes, but has done so at the expense of throwing trans rights under the bus. And that's something I've heard a lot of the trans people in my life raise as a concern. And it's also something that's really at the forefront of my brain because this doesn't come up a lot, but I am a UK US dual citizen. And if anyone's been watching UK politics over the past decade or so, transphobia has shifted out there to be a fully bipartisan thing. They have a left-wing party in control right now that is every bit as anti-trans as what we have in control in the US right now. And I do not want to see that happen here.
Yeah.
If it's the only option we have to avoid something worse, I'm going to stand for that. But I am never going to tell the trans people in my life, you guys are disposable for me to get mine.
And I've been hearing that since I first got an opportunity to lead in the community in 2013 in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, the state capital. We met up for this conference, and the like Democratic representative queer people were there, being politicians, and straight out said right in front of everybody, in turn to like the trans leaders, "Hey, you're gonna have to take a back seat in order for us to move forward." And
Yeah.
it struck me, it disturbed me so much that I ended up making one of the first queer festivals for Pride in Acadiana. And I was so pissed about that I gave trans people full, like free admission to the festival, right? Um,
That's awesome.
you know what I'm
That's
saying?
awesome.
Like, because
Yeah.
that was what my spirit told me to do. It was like, this isn't right. So I
Yeah.
made a broader statement. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I agree with you. I don't want to see trans people get locked down because
Yeah.
oppression sucks. You know this, man.
Yeah.
But being
Yeah.
that oppressed, like, that's lower than second class citizen treatment. That's third
Yeah.
class treatment. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's low. And they don't deserve, just because you don't understand somebody does not give people the right to just, what the, look, I'm about to say the drop an F bomb like I haven't before. but what the
What
fuck,
also
right?
what
Why?
also keeps coming back to my brain is every word that's being used against them is being used against us, both historically and right now. Like you go on Facebook right now, which God, I should not scroll through that as much. It's terrifying and
Oh, I'm
depressing.
actually in Facebook
Any
jail, dude. I'm in Facebook jail right now. It's been great.
But like any post that has like you see an article about any gay headline, anything like that, the comments are just swarming with not just anti-trans stuff, but using that as a gateway for just anti-gay, anti-queer rhetoric in general. Like we are being called groomers, we are being like, why do you guys have to be so visible? We don't care. Or just like when someone's saying like the rainbows are being erased, they're like, good. Like just comment after comment of that. And the thing is too, that's terrifying to me is I know a lot of them are real people, but I also know a lot of them are bots and stuff like that. And it's just a case of someone is investing money, investing time, investing technology, and making people terrified of us and hate us. That's awful.
It's called evil, and
Yeah.
it is. And dude, I don't know. It's the what people don't understand, like, it's not like about two opposites right now. There's like a true moral dilemma going on right now. And
Yeah.
I can't align with sides because the whole morality is off. And
Yeah.
I just find it so funny that everything that these people shout out about us, they're actually doing.
Oh
I
God,
mean,
yeah. Every time.
the sexual predators are in the White House. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
we know, like, common sense people know that.
Yeah.
But people want to, there is this weird, and the world doesn't have to be this way, Kevin. There's this weird need to destroy people, to see people fall, to see people bullied, to see people picked on, because we ourselves don't want, like, that cult. The thing is that we have to go back to the beginning of time and ask, why is the culture the way the culture is, right?
Yeah.
We can't rewire the world in this in our
Yeah.
generation, in our time, but it's not wired right. You can't convince
Yeah.
me that someone in a same-sex marriage, not hurting you, probably raising kids better than you, better than the people that are voting
Yeah.
against them, like, it doesn't make sense right now how we've allowed truth to be taken, and that we're not really confronting the meat. Well, maybe it'll come, but I'm bringing up things that we should throw back when they say we're predators. Like, no, like, let's go look at Catholic churches. I was molested by lots of adults when I was growing up.
Sorry to
Okay,
hear that.
that's
It's
real. And
horrible.
once you start talking about sexual predators and things like that, then I need to know. You get what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I need to know
Yeah.
100% what the F is going on. So
I mean,
you
like
feel
in
like
our
trans
community,
men?
we are incredibly good at if there is a predatory person telling each other,
Yeah,
like communicating, and that's what's needed. Not blaming people because of their like physical traits that have nothing to do with it. Like saying because someone looks weird or acts different, they're a predator, but actually being able to say, this person is violating consent. They've hurt this person, they've hurt this person. We need to come up with social strategies to exclude them from people they can harm. That's how we fix things. And instead, people would rather scapegoat and, you know, create monsters that don't exist.
trans people are not monsters. I mean, like, it's just like, No, what now scares me, Kevin, is this chat PT thing or what's
Oh
going
God.
on. I will not. Let me
Yes.
tell you something.
I
I
will
am
not
not
either.
going to ever. I don't need to. First of all, that is to be embarrassing to me because I have a master's and PhD coursework in creative writing in English, and
Yeah.
to not be able to formulate my own thoughts, it goes against what like. I'm telling
Yeah.
people use your brain, right? So my concern is that we're in this like how transparent do you feel you need to be as a leader?
I just I don't know about transparency so much as to me what it comes back to is accountability.
Uh,
Like I don't know if I can just show every side of myself just by existing. I don't know how I would quantify transparency, but accountability, being able to have people come right up to me and say, "Hey, have you considered this?" or "Hey, you should have thought through more on that." And being able to just step back and adjust and say, "Oh, maybe that wasn't the best thing." And be, oh, I guess, transparent about that and say, "Hey, I am not perfect. I need to adjust sometimes. Thank you so much for telling me what I need to change." That to me is one of the biggest values anyone can have.
I don't know. I feel like we should get together and put like a kids book level, like how to be empathetic book for like people,
Yeah.
pop up book. Like this is a trans person. They are not going to
Yeah.
hurt you. Like
Yeah.
let you try to hurt them. Like,
Yeah.
but I'm just the thing is empathy, dude. Like I don't
Yeah.
know. They don't teach that in school. I don't know if what
Well,
career.
they do. It's actually the thing. A lot of curriculums have been built on empathy, and people have been actively working against that, trying to remove that from the curriculum.
Yeah,
Terrifying.
yeah, dude. I'm from Louisiana, and they got the ten. Well, Texas is doing it here. They put the Ten Commandments, and like my mom, like I'm just having a conversation with her, and she's like, "Oh, that's a good." I'm like, "No, mother, like putting religion. Not everybody's Christian, and then the same
Yeah.
thing. No, but these fools aren't following this. Like, what is it
Yeah.
there for?" Right. So
Also, like, how relevant is "thou shalt not murder" to you in school? "Thou shalt not commit adultery." I wasn't planning on it. I was a 6-year-old.
some of the teachers are probably sleeping with the students. I know that happened in my high school.
Yeah.
Sure, dude.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, there's some buffoonery in the South. That's one thing. Buffoonery. So I guess we're getting close to the end here before I get to my final question. So what's your next big event that you're heading to soon?
Well, it's this month. I'm hosting a cigar social Saturday. That's a nice low key thing. I've got a couple events next week. Like, there's a big holder panel for local organization Club X that's going to have about 10 local title holders, which, wow, that's just a lot of local title holders. And there's going to be a fundraiser some people are helping me put together at a local spaghetti night in support of trans family support services, one of the local organizations, which that delights me. That is a cause I mean, as I've made clear, is one I care about a lot. And then, of course, at the end of the month, it's Folsom, which is always a favorite of mine. And that's, of course, going to have, the title holder announcement, walking across the stage thing, and the brunch and all that. So that'll be really cool. I've never done that side of things, and I'm excited to.
Right on, man. I haven't gotten to go to Folsom yet, but I've been Dory twice, so maybe next year for me.
I mean, it's cliche to say, but you did pick the better one.
Oh, okay, well,
Folsom is worth seeing, but Dory is something really special.
awesome. Good to know. I need to go back and feel it in a special way next time then. Okay, so here's my final question. I ask everybody the same final question. Is there any aspect of our community, Kevin, that you feel that we are not shining enough light on?
Yeah, actually, this has come up to me a lot, especially we've sort of been building a group chat up of potential IML title holders for next year. And one of the main ones I've really gotten to build a strong friendship with is Liam, the current Mr. Australia. And the question that keeps coming up to me is access for leather. Like, especially right now, are we cruel to be asking queer people, trans people, people of color to be coming to this country for international contests, for example? Is it safe? I know there was the controversy over International Miss Leather earlier this year for roughly those reasons, and I don't have the right answers to that. But I think it's a conversation we need to start foregrounding, or even like I'm very close with a lot of the local boot blacks. I love them to death, and the International Community Boot Black contest is being held. more on the outskirts of a city in Texas, and a lot of trans people I know who aren't in Texas right now feel scared to come. How do we guarantee their safety? How do we make sure our spaces are protected? And how do we make them safe for new people to feel willing to come in? That's on my brain a lot right now, and I don't know the answers.
Um, so so the concern I think might have come up with one of the international contestants this past IML, getting warnings from the country to be that there are human rights concerns here now. Sh- the attitude, and maybe I don't want us to be arrogant Americans,
Yeah,
and the mentality that when that came out was, oh, well, this isn't the time to not unify. Like, we got to do whatever.
yeah,
And it's easy to be like, yo, just come over here anyway. You know what
yeah,
I'm saying? And
yeah,
maybe we don't need to be like that. But at the same time, how do you keep there? Well, I mean, we'll find a way to keep the international community going. It is a concern. But look, we're hoping and praying, Kevin, that things
yeah,
might halt and
yeah,
miracles might happen still, okay?
yeah,
But I do think and agree with you that we should take international concerns and their safety just as serious as we would take our own safety. And that
yeah,
maybe, if it's let these people express those concerns, and
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, we
Yeah,
started
I
the
think those are
IML live
conversations
now,
that have to be
honestly,
run by them.
so people can watch
Mm.
IML at home now.
I am so thrilled with that. Like the amount of difference that makes for access to leather contests, even just for people in countries that don't have a strong leather history or strong title history to be able to see the contest, learn from that before potentially running and representing their countries themselves. That's so cool. I love that, and that's the kind of thing I want to see more of.
I mean, it's a start of something beautiful. All right, Kevin, we are at the end here. There's just one last thing you have to do, which is close the show.
Yes.
So I'm going to count to three and you're going to do your thing. Or do you want me to tell you what
All
to
right.
do?
Oh, I remember.
All right. One, two, three.
If you're not throwing light, you're not acting right.
I love it when someone comes on and they've done their homework. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Kevin. I was looking very forward to this. I'll tell you straight up, you're someone I definitely have to come and bring on a second time. I don't feel like we're done. There's so much going on. You got a very fresh energy. So
Thank
I
you.
would love to bring you back on so we can discuss that if you would like.
I
Um,
would love that. There's a lot of things I would love to still ask you
yeah,
about just from that
there's
have
a
come up in
lot.
past episodes.
You got a lot inside of you. I feel that. All right, y'all. Well,
Thank
that
you.
brings us to the end of Throwing Light. I'm LTJ Reeds, and I and Kevin are out. Bye.